Hey guys, we're the Faim, and we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
You guys have been nonstop on tour recently, just finished the Against the Current tour, which they just dropped an incredible record. What was that tour like for you guys?
Dude, it was absolutely insane. It was so great to, go back to the UK where we've already done a tour there, so it was great to see lots of familiar faces, but also hit places that we'd never played before. We played in Paris for the first time, a lot more dates in Germany, so it was just really great experience, and the crowds were insane, huge crowds, great audiences, and they were just everyone there just loves music, so it was just a great place to play.
Right. Now, as I mentioned earlier off camera, I was interviewing John Feldman when I first found out about you guys, because you guys had just hit the studio with him, or he had just mentioned about you guys for the first time. That wasn't even 2 years ago. That was barely 2 years ago. And I feel like there's so much hype around you guys now. What have those 2 years been like since, first connecting with John, and then now you're about to jump on another tour?
It's been an insane growing experience, man. I feel like everything that we take on board is whether it's a pressure situation or a scary situation or even just a learning experience in general, we've just kind of hit it all with every bit of tunnel vision that we have. Touring has been an eye-opener. Writing songs on the road has definitely been an eye-opener as well, but meeting incredible people and learning as much as we can along the way.
And as you guys are writing music, whether it's on the road or just when you guys come out here to LA, you guys have an insane team behind it. It's not only an insane team, but I feel like this time for Sean, you actually have a drummer that's assisting in the writing process. And I feel like it's harder when the producer doesn't really focus on drums, or the writer doesn't focus on drums. So what kind of impact did that have on you?
It was amazing, man. It was just so good to finally meet, just my idols in general. Just to get to work with them was unbelievable, and just learned so much from them, and they just brought so much to the table, and it was incredible. The whole experience.
With the writing process, you guys worked with a lot of big names. What was that like that first time you get into the studio with them? And obviously you guys are fans of these artists, but how are you guys able to balance that, being the fan and then getting work done?
I think the biggest thing, man, is we always appreciate music no matter where it's from or how it's been created, whether it's idols or not. We always appreciate someone who's pursued their passion and made their dream a reality. And of course, you fangirl a little bit, when Fall Out Boy comes in the room or Blink-182 comes in the room. But at the same time, you realize more and more that they're just human beings, that there's no difference between us and them. They love music just as much as us. And it's good because every single writing experience that we had, we learned something different, and we apply that to every single one of our songwriting processes from now on.
Right. And as you guys are creating this music, you are getting vulnerable on these records with people you've never met before. So, how did you get comfortable with doing so?
It was all just, I feel like the biggest thing was just finding comfortability, really. Every situation has its negatives and positives, but I believe the biggest thing is you can't change a reaction to any situation. You either become the best possible thing you can for the situation, or you kind of shy away from it. And music for us is an expression, it's a therapy, it's not just playing instruments and that sort of stuff. It's really just trying to get our story, our message, and our experiences out to the world and see how they kind of respond back.
As you guys were creating the debut EP, Summer's a Curse, where do you feel you got challenged in the studio, individually?
I wasn't really there for all of this stuff going down. So Stephen or Josh could probably answer that better than I can.
Sam was there in spirit. He was messaging me every day, sending me cute selfies and that sort of stuff. So he was definitely there, helping along the way. But I feel like every experience kind of shaped us individually as our perspective to songwriting. We had a bit of a tunnel vision on how we wrote, and we didn't really know how to explore not just the capabilities of our identity sonically, but kind of how to express the deepest parts of ourselves and the rawness of our story and our experiences that we want to put to the world. Because I feel like that's how people connect with music. It's through a passion, it's through an experience, it's through a memory. It's not just through, the sonic side, which all of it cultivates into the perfect puzzle, though.
Right. Do you guys feel the same?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The writing experience for that EP was as much of an expression as one big learning experience. We're just here to sponge up all the knowledge as we can, and then I think everything that we've talked about so far was working with other artists, working with John, and then finding ourselves from where we started, back in our home in Perth, we started writing to where we are now. The whole thing, is developing, and it's one big journey. Which to us, having that journey captured amongst 6 songs in the EP is a really special thing for us.
And with John Feldman particularly, like I've heard so many stories of artists that, go and collaborate with him or go and work with him, or, whether they're working on their material or they're collaborating for Goldfinger. And John is the kind of person that, it's like, are you ready? Do you want to do this? We're doing it now. Like there's no question about it. Did that happen with you guys? And what was your experience?
Well, it was definitely a push. What helped the most? Coffee. We had so much coffee. Like honestly, it was 2 songs a day, all knuckling down. So it was full on. It was crazy, but it's good to jump outside that box and just keep on, getting faster and faster at like the work that you do. And that's what we sort of like. That was a challenge for us. But then when we sort of like clicked into it, everything just felt, right, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now, when I mentioned the challenges, I feel like when I listen to Make Believe, that's the song that's like the most, like, I feel like that's the most vulnerable song on the record. At the same time, it's the most calmest song. So I feel like that is even harder to do those kind of vocals. What was that like for you creating Make Believe? And what is the story behind Make Believe?
Make Believe is essentially, I think it's an idea that everyone kind of gets in their head that, you can become a product of all the things in your head despite what's going on around you. You have your anxieties, your insecurities, your pressures, your judgments, and kind of things that are around you that are going to hold you back from your dream or becoming the best version of yourself. Right. But the reality is that it's you as a human being that's going to make you the strongest version of yourself. You're not a product of the things in your head. You're a product of the actions and the reactions that you take to things that come in life. Right. And like obviously expressing this song vocally it came naturally, because I feel like everyone in life kind of experiences those negative and positive feelings, and it really defines character. It defines basically who you are as a human being. So it was obviously it was an emotional experience, but it was definitely a rewarding one.
But when you perform that song live, I feel like when you're ranging from an upbeat kind of song where you're dancing and singing, and then you come down to this song, like how do you kind of challenge, or how do you change it up to the point that your voice is not shaky? Like if I were to try something like that, my voice would be shaking the whole time because it's such a soft song.
Yeah. Every song is it's a memory, it's a story, and every single story, every experience has its place, right. And being able to express that through my voice is, sometimes it is challenging, but like anything, it just takes practice, and it becomes, when you're singing something that's not only a huge part of every one of us here, but affecting so many people in front of you in the audience, it just becomes this natural flow. Right. It's not, it's freedom of thought. There's no me thinking, oh, am I going to hit this note, or am I going to stuff this up here, am I going to kind of not make it the best it possibly can. It's a natural, raw performance and basically putting ourselves on display in the rawest way possible.
Right. Now, over the years, like I've heard Ashton do a lot of co-writing. Why am I messing up on his name? Mark Hoppus does a lot of co-writing. But, Pete Wentz is not someone that I can say that I've heard him do a lot of co-writes before. What was that experience like with him in the studio? Like whether it was co-writing or just sitting down talking about what you guys want to do for the EP?
Yeah, like the whole thing that we did at the start was we sat down in the studio and just chatted with Pete for about 2 hours. It was crazy, just him sharing his knowledge about the music industry. Yeah. And basically, the one sort of line that we all remember from that conversation was that there's no room for mediocrity in this day and age, like nothing. If you're not going to do something different, if you're not going to go outside the box and show people something that's new and that's unique to yourselves. So if you don't give them the reason why they should listen to you and not another band, then it's just going to be incredibly difficult to be heard in this day and age. And so on top of that, that's when we sort of took that mentality in mind and then began writing the song from that sort of, that sort of vision that, okay, we're going to do something different. We're going to go outside the box and do something that's completely unique to ourselves.
Who out of all the co-writes that you guys did, who do you think kind of embedded something in you that you've never really realized, oh, that's something we could possibly do with writing?
For me, coming into the studio was Ashton Owen. He brought so much, because definitely the similar story from Australia to getting out, reaching your goals, dreams. It was really awesome just to get to finally meet him, and just work on we just clicked. It was an instant click with all of us, and we just really busted out something decent. Then we were no, it was awesome, man. But yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved writing with Fiona Bevan. Okay. So she's an incredible songwriter. She's from the UK. And I think I speak for all of us where, we all just felt so comfortable around her, and we talk about, what's it like expressing things in songwriting. you know, you can only truly express like, you know, the deepest parts of yourself when you're around people that you know can not only like, you know, accept like, you know, what you're telling them, but like embrace it at the same time.
Right.
And help then like, you know, what she did, she like helped us all like bring those things like into the song. And I think we've written 2 songs with her, and it was just, you know, the most incredible like writing sessions that we've done so far to me.
For you?
Honestly, like every single person, whether we use songs or not, had a really big impact on how we write and how we perceive basically just songwriting in general. But I'd have to agree with Steve, and Fiona Bevan was a very emotional time, you know, especially like, you know, we'd obviously like, it's hard to kind of go down deep within yourself and bring up things that you've never thought about, even talked about to anyone, and then put that in a song for the entire world to hear. It becomes a very, like you said, a vulnerable experience, and being able to be open to that and be able to accept that it's like this therapy. It's this, you end up looking at the world through a completely different light, and being able to share that with people that you've never known and be able to connect so deeply. It was definitely a very special day.
And for you, even though you weren't in the sessions?
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, I think, you know, the guys have told me a lot about it and the experiences they went through. And I think one thing that I kind of got from that through them was that you kind of just learn something different from everyone. Yeah. And you just take little bits and pieces, and, you know, like I'm looking forward to being a part of the next one and, you know, experiencing what these guys have experienced in the past. And yeah, I think just to be open and to embrace everything and sort of, you know, figure out what works for you or what piece of advice you can really take on board and run with is great. Right. Yeah.
Now, as you guys kind of mentioned, like new music, I like the EP, but it's not long enough. I need a lot more music from you guys. So you guys are getting ready right now for a debut album, which is unheard of. Like nowadays, like bands, like it's hard to create a debut album. Like it's hard to do that, let alone someone from overseas. What can we expect for this debut album? Like I know it's not really set in stone yet, but like where do you guys feel your mind is for this record?
Like I can definitely say like what you can expect based off the EP is diversity. Like this record, like is something that we really want to showcase like who we are as people and as musicians. And like one of the big things that we're like very like passionate about is like embracing the fluidity of genre. Yeah. Like right now, you know, genres are amalgamating. You got all these like cool different sounds that are coming out from all these artists, and like we really want to like, you know, tap into that idea that like you don't just have to be a rock band, you don't just have to be, you know, like a, you know, punk band or a pop band or like whatever. Right. You can because like songs are songs, and like the way the sound that you want to use to express in a certain idea doesn't need to be fit into that one genre. So like that's why we love, you know, absolutely just experimenting with like each idea, letting like different production cater to different vocals that we put in, but still coming up with a sound which is like true to who we are.
Right. Awesome, guys. Well, you guys are getting ready right now for the Houses tour, which is going to be epic. I've been waiting for them as well, and they finally just dropped a record. So, you know, what can we expect for this tour?
Honestly, man, you can expect a rock show. You know, you can expect 4 dudes going to come out and basically just give everything. Doesn't matter how many people are there. Doesn't matter how many people are even looking at it, talking about it. Every single show is 120%. It's, again, just this absolute display of the rawest parts of ourselves, and you're going to see. I call it crazy coordinated. You know, you're going to see some wild stuff, but at the same time, you're going to see the emotional side and the funky side, and just a lot of different sides to our personalities and our influences as well.